the mark of the beast. It's COVID-19 vaccines. It's going to be like a QR code or a barcode, or it's going to be your cell phone. It's 5G. It's coming, whatever it is. No, it's not. It's not something that's coming in the future because it already happened. But before we get into it, hi. My name's Corey, and this is RedeemerOnline.church, and it's my mission to help people understand and practice the Christian faith regardless of your church attendance. And if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. On the channel, we've been going through the book of Revelation because when life gets chaotic, some Christians run to this book looking for apocalyptic answers to their chaos-induced questions. But this is also one of the most misunderstood books in the Bible. And today, we're talking about one of the most popular images found in this most misunderstood book, the mark of the beast. And what we're going to do is talk about where it comes from, what it meant to the original readers, and what it might mean, if anything, to you and me. Let's start with where it comes from. The author, John, has this vision of a dragon standing on the shore, summoning two great beasts. The first beast, which we discussed in a previous video, rises from the sea and represented the godless government of Rome. The point for John's readers was to see the Roman Empire as the tool through which the dragon was operating. The dragon is John's representation of the devil, or Satan, or evil, or just God's opponent in general. This would have resonated with what the readers were experiencing given the persecution from the Roman government that they had already. Then John sees a second beast. It had two horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of people. Just a quick reminder, part of the reason that we identified the first beast of the sea with Rome, and more specifically Nero, is that John uses ancient royal imagery from his religious tradition to describe the beast, and then talks about one of its heads having been fatally wounded and then healed. And that was actually a popular narrative floating around during the time of this writing, that Emperor Nero wasn't actually dead, but that he had either died and been resurrected, or was nearly fatally wounded and then healed. Anyway, the second beast's job was to compel the whole world to worship the first beast, as in Emperor Nero, or more broadly, the Roman Empire and government. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. It ordered them to set up an image in honor of the beast who was wounded by the sword and yet lived. This is a really important clue as to who this second beast represents now. It's the imperial religious cult. You see, Rome wasn't just an empire. It was a full-on religion. The imperial cult saw the emperor as a god and worshipped him as one. They celebrated regular feasts in honor of that god, set up temples in every city, and, this is important, they imposed laws on the people about participating in those feasts and mandating everybody worship the emperor. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. So, the second beast is a representation of all those who imposed the imperial cult on the general population, including Christians. And it was those who would then prosecute and execute Christians if they refused to participate in the emperor worship. This wasn't a future event. It was something they were experiencing in their present life. Now, the mark of the beast, being the number 666, is actually really specific. It's code for talking about Nero. In Hebrew, John's cultural language, and likely the language of his original readers, each letter in Hebrew also stands for a number. Sort of like how X can mean 10 and V can mean 5. The letters that spell out Nero's Caesar in Hebrew, when you add them together, they equal 666. The mark of the beast isn't something that is coming. It was John's way of talking about the reality that his readers, the Christians living in the Roman Empire at the end of the first century, it was his way of talking about what they were facing. It was also the same reality that Jesus acknowledged at the beginning of the book of Revelation when addressing the church in Pergamum. He says, look, you're in a tough spot. You have to decide, and your decisions have real consequences. All the pressure in the world is on you to worship the empire, to worship Rome, to worship worship Nero, to celebrate the feasts and festivals, to participate in the rituals that dehumanize people, to celebrate genocide, which was the price for expanding the Roman rule, to pay honor and homage to leaders who crucified anybody who spoke out against them, and to refuse to participate in that religious cult, at best meant exclusion from societal life. If you don't participate, then you can't buy or trade or sell. You'll get kicked out of your guild, or you'll lose your network of business contacts. Your livelihood will dwindle down to nothing. But that was the best case scenario. At worst, you'd be prosecuted as an enemy of the empire and put to death. So every Christian had to make decisions day in and day out. Follow the beast or risk your life and livelihood to follow the Lamb. And as New Testament scholar N.T. Wright points out, the decisions weren't always so clear-cut. I mean, do you use the coins that have the face of the emperor on them where he lists himself as the Son of God? Is it a compromise if you set up your shop outside the city during a cultic holiday and profit off of all the travelers who are flooding into your city and attending the local worship service to the emperor, even if you don't attend? Is it a compromise to buy a slab of meat from the marketplace that's just been offered as tribute to the gods or to the emperor? I mean, where do you draw the line in your own participation when the entire system's been designed by the dragon to enslave people in destructive ways? That's what John was writing about. It wasn't the future, it was his present. But this is also where I think it actually can hit home for us. The mark of the beast isn't coming. We don't need to be on the lookout for something that may or may not be the mark of the beast. But you do already experience what John is talking about. The idea of the mark is simply a symbol of a participation in the system. So are we wrapped up in a system that dehumanizes people? A destructive system that infringes on people's dignity and value? Are we being coerced to worship an empire that wages war on the worth and significance of individuals locally and broadly? I hesitate to give specific examples because in some ways they kind of distract from the point here, but when the only chocolate available for me to buy at a reasonable price is produced using abusive child labor forces in another country, I'm taking the mark of the beast to participate. When my entire retirement portfolio is invested in companies who pay their employees as little as possible so that shareholders like me can earn as much as possible quarter after quarter, I feel like I'm taking the mark of the beast. When I participate in and benefit from a system that benefits the haves and disproportionately challenges the have-nots, I'm taking the mark of the beast. My point here is that every day you and I are compelled to participate in a system that decimates the lives of people around the world and has brutal impacts on the lives of some people here in our very own countries. Like John says, this requires wisdom. So I'm curious, what do you think? Do you see the compromises that we're all being compelled to make? Do you see echoes of the second beast today bidding us to worship a system in which we find ourselves, to participate in a way that still dehumanizes many others? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're looking for personalized, customized help to talk about these things one-on-one, if you want to get more clarity and direction in your spiritual journey, throw a wave emoji in the comments and we can get connected. I'd love to sit down and chat. And if you don't want to miss out on anything else we've got going on here at Redeemer Online, tap that link to join the email list. And if you want to join us live, every Monday morning we take some time at the beginning of the week to pray and read and reflect and practice our faith together in real time. So check out the Monday morning live stream, 9 a.m. Central on Mondays. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe if you like this video. Tap that donate link if you really appreciate what we're doing here, and we'll see you next time.